Hi guys, Stuga here with a new video, and this video is more of a discussion video about whether you are actually looking for a main or an alt on Dragonflight and you're trying to base this based on the tuning from PTR or the beta from Dragonflight. And I'm here to actually help you guide into that because I feel like that's not really the best reason to decide about a main or alt, because all those things are actually just changes, and they are actually changing every day, twice a week, twice a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, and everything is still in motion, and we don't still not know what is going to be very strong on Dragonflight, but also just in PvP as well, because there is still no PvP balancing. We only see balancing PvE wise, and there is no PvP modifiers except for some spells here and there, but really the meat and potatoes are actually the things that are actually making the class better, and dare I say, it is more about the design than about the balancing or the numbers at this very moment. So let's talk about the changes that they already implemented. It was 2 days ago or 1 day ago. But I'm not really watching a lot of those changes because I feel like, again, Dragonflight is not out. They are still making a lot of balancing changes, still very active, very vocal about what they want to do. And the only thing where I feel like it is set in stone, it is pretty much the design of said class or spec. Like, for example, a warlock, like an affliction warlock, design wise, it is not going to change. You know that whenever you're going to roll an affliction warlock in Dragonflight, it is pretty much how it will be right now on the PTR or on the Dragonflight beta, or whenever pre-patch is coming out in a few days, or depending on whenever you're actually watching the video, it might be already out, or Dragonflight might be already out by that time. But I must say that the main reason or the main things that you're needing to actually look for a main or an alt in Dragonflight, it is pretty much about the design, because that is something that will not get changed. Maybe the design of druids is still on the way because they still need to change a few things. I think class-wise, the class tree might still get a few changes because there was a lot of tree node talents, and those are actually getting cut off. And I feel like they're still moving a few talents here and there, but the design is still there. You still have like feral druids, for example. You have the dot build, the AoE build, the big ferocious bite build, or the builder spender build. You have a lot of great builds going on, and you only know whenever Dragonflight is coming out, or whenever the first week of raiding or the first season of PvP is going to come out, which classes are going to be very good and which classes are going to be not so good. And that's why I'm not really doing a tier list based on power levels for Dragonflight at this very moment, because there is like no real incentive to do that. I could say that BM Hunter is S tier right now in PvP on the beta because it does stupid damage, but it might be that whenever Dragonflight comes out, that it will be a D tier class because it gets a nerf whenever Dragonflight is going to come out. So I feel like I'm going to make a video for information that is only going to be valuable for 5 days. And I feel like that's not really the intent of whenever I'm making a video or not. So, like, I'm going to discuss a few changes so you can see what I'm talking about. Like, let's say the Warlock changes. You have a lot of big buffs at this very moment, but those buffs, they are for PvE, guys. You see that Chaos Bolt doing 2 times 152%, so it's pretty much 300% spell power on Chaos Bolt. It is a big buff. They did get a lot of spell power coefficient on that spell, but that's for PvE. In PvP, they might slap a 30% nerf, or they might even slap a 40% buff. That we don't know. But I just feel like you cannot base your choices around those numbers, because those numbers might just be false whenever Dragonflight is coming out. And the things that you need to actually look for is pretty much the design. So whenever you go on the wowhead website, you can go on the tools, Dragonflight talent calculator, and let's say we are talking about Destruction Warlock. So Destruction Warlock is one of those specs that didn't really get a lot of design changes since the beginning of the PTR and the beta. They did have like Soulfire change places, or at the bottom talents did change a bit, I think, power level wise, at least balancing. But this is pretty much what you get. You get like a more of a Chaos Bolt build, or more of an Incinerate build, or more around Infernals or procs from Burn to Ashes, or Avatar of Destruction and such. You have a lot of great things going on for Destruction, but the numbers are still going to be MIA. We don't really know what is going to come out from Dragonflight. We don't know if it's going to be very strong. We don't know if it's going to be OP. We don't know if it's going to be trash. But that is pretty much what I'm going to say for this video. Again, I'm going to repeat a lot of myself, because I want you guys to make great decisions. And for me, making decisions, because I see a lot of people like Togre, like, again, what class should I play? Like, what class is strong coming on in Dragonflight? I'm going to say, like, we don't know what is going to be strong in PvP, because, again, numbers are 50% of the reason why a class or a spec is good. You have also some design and some utility and some defensives that might make a spec or a class a lot better in PvP, because it is easier to win with a class that has a lot of CC, because that CC is going to be useful in arenas regardless. Like, even if the numbers are not correct, even if your case will do 1 damage, if you have like 5 different CCs that you can actually chain to have your teammates kill people, that is going to make that class or spec viable. It doesn't matter how much damage you do, except when the damage is obnoxious. Then the utility or the defensives are not really a big deal, but then it is easier for Blizzard to actually nerf that spec or class. And that's why I'm actually saying to all the people that I'm actually talking with me and actually asking me like what class or what main or spec should I play in Dragonflight, I would only say choose a role that you want to do. Do you want to play healer, tank, DPS, PvP, PvE? What do you want to achieve? Do you want to play more of a setup way, or do you want to do big damage or burst or whatever? And then you can see about the design. If you prefer to play more of a caster that is more immobile, but you have some big burst potential, I would say go for destruction maybe, because the design is built around that aspect. If you want to play about setups, again, I think it's easier to play with a fire mage to set up kills, because that's made for setuping kills with combust goes, with a rogue, whatever. That is not going to change, because that's a philosophy that they did for fire mages in retail. But if you're asking me like which spell is going to hit like a truck, we don't know, because some spells are obnoxious. You have like a dark, like a trinket that does 60k damage, that's a big fireball, that's going to get nerfed in PvP, right? That's not going to stand, because they will slap a 50% nerf on that, and they might just buff the PvP trinkets to make actually people hesitate more for PvE trinkets. So that's pretty much what I want to actually talk about in the video. I want to say, guys, please look for design. You want to have fun with your character. It doesn't matter how strong they are, because that's not set in stone at the moment. Even whenever Dragonflight comes out, they might just do a nerf in 2 weeks time, and then your class is like crumbled. And if you don't like your class, like, you would have wasted a lot of time on that class or spec. If you're not a hunter fan, you don't want to play hunter, but you only choose hunter because it can one-shot, newsflash, it's going to get nerfed eventually. Same for warriors, same for shaman. There is no spec or class safe for this. So that's why if you are choosing for design, you're choosing for what is actually going to be fun to play for you. And also, like, fantasy wise, if you don't like to play a warrior, don't play a warrior, because you're going to force yourself into a strong spec or class and then get nerfed, and you're going to cry in the forums, or cry onto videos, or like not understand why they get nerfed, and then you will feel cheated on. But what you want is actually choose a great spec or class to play that you really love, the design wise and how it is in general, and then build upon that. And even if it gets nerfed, it's not a problem, because you do love that class. You can still enjoy and push rating with that class, or mythics, keystones, or whatever you can actually do to actually improve. Of course, there are meta chasers, they might just not invite you, but if you make friends along the way, you can just always play your class or spec, and that should not be a worry in the future. So I hope you understand the video. I want to talk about a lot of subjects coming into pre-patch. I'm going to make a lot of videos about all the specs that I actually play. I might just not make a video about Demon Hunters, guys, because I don't play Demon Hunter. And I don't know anything about Demon Hunter. The thing that I know is you have the hunt, and you have, I think, the other thing, how it's called, with the demon that procs from the Necrolord. I don't know where it is, but you can pretty much combine those two, think, if I'm not mistaken. But I just know they're going to be strong in Dragonflight, looking at the numbers. But again, they might just get a 50% nerf in PvP and then it's done. Like they are going to be just good for CC or good for some burst potential, but their actual consistent damage is going to be nerfed, for example. I also see a lot of complaints about Retribution Paladin or Paladins in general because their class tree is a bit boring, because there is pretty much a fine line of what you are going to build, and if that build is going to be good, you're going to play that most of the time. And the same for the Retribution tree, where you don't really have a lot of choices. You can have a lot of choices, but those are like subpar. Again, it depends about numbers. If Consecration is super strong, a Consecration build might be the play. But from experience, a AoE build in PvP is not going to be very strong, because you are going to be bound to actually break CC. And CC is king in arenas, that doesn't really change, even though they buffed PvP trinkets to have the orc effect CC wise. I think in general you're going to have a difficult time to actually enjoy classes where the design is subpar. You might love the class fantasy of Retribution or Holy Paladin or whatever. You love the aesthetics, you love the abilities, you love to have like one cookie cutter build. Like for example, if you are having fun with the build of Retribution Paladin and you're fine with it, you're going to have a great time. But for people that like to play other stuff in that set spec, they might not love that. And that design is pretty much set in stone. I think they will not change anything from now to launch, and they might change it maybe in 10.1, so the first big patch. They might maybe make some design choices, but I feel like this is going to be what you get. So if you're not happy with Retribution, I got only one thing to say: wait for a change design wise, balancing wise. Please do not change, because again, you saw on previous videos from Super for example, they get nerfed pretty hard. But again, it's PvE. It might be they slap a 50% buff on PvP so they can actually balance the nerfs and the buffs from PvP and PvE. But that's all about the design. The design is super interesting. The design is super useful to know, because that's what you're going to play, and what you're going to play is something that you're going to build upon in Dragonflight. So TLDR, don't watch, whatever. Choose design over the balancing changes. Please do not look too much about the balance changes, because again, it might change at any point. If you go on wowhead, how many times did they actually do a new hotfix or class tuning? Here you have, let's say, I'm going to scroll a bit more class tuning hotfixes on Dragonflight 2110, 21 of October. Here you have the Vote of the Incarnates tuning. Again, you don't even know how strong the raids will be. You have the tests on the design and on the mechanics, but again, power levels of raids, of classes, of specs, of mythic stones or whatever, that's still it's still in the air. You know, it's going to be even good or even worse, or it's going to be nerfed or buffed. That you don't know. But one thing you know is the design is still set in stone. I think for most of the class, I think 99% of the classes are going to be shipped how it is right now. The numbers might not be shipped. Again, they buffed survival, for example. I think in PvP they will nerf it. That's my take. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think about this video. Did it actually make you think about the eventual specs and classes that you're going to play? I think for myself, I'm still up in the air on which classes I'm going to main. I think Dragonflight is super alt friendly from the looks of it. You don't really need to grind anything outside of your PvP rank, conquest, Even rank is not even needed anymore to get like conquest gear, so you can pretty much farm the war PvP gear, profession gear, whatever, the honor gear, and then the conquest gear, and you're good to go to actually push rating, and then you can just push rating with whatever class you want. So I might play every class and then focus on the actual grind for PvE and PvP, and like try to get gear on Wrath of the Lich King. But I think rating, actually skill level, I think it's going to be very, very fun to grind it on Dragonflight. So please let me know in the comment section below what you think about the video, about Dragonflight as a whole. Did you already find which spec or main your class you're going to play? For myself, I'm still going to say that I'm still going to main Affliction Warlock. I think I'm still going to main Warrior because those two designs were perfect for me. And I just think I'm going to add 4 more classes here and there to actually have more content on YouTube, but also have more content for myself, because I do like to play a lot of classes. It makes the game more flavorful. It makes me also more knowledgeable with said classes. I think it's easier to play in PvP whenever you know which class or spec is doing what in PvP. So thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Again, be sure to watch my next videos coming up for Dragonflight. Pre-patch is going to come out very soon. Dragonflight 2, I'm going to make a lot of content on that. I'm going to make still content on Wrath of the Lich King. I'm still working on a guide for Holy Paladins, but also for Hunter, because I have those two available at level 80. I'm doing a lot of PvP, so I'm looking forward to give you more content. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and be sure to stay safe. We will catch each other very soon. Bye.